Welcome to Built on Air, a podcast and video series about all things Airtable. In this episode, we're joined by the co-founders of Sync Inc., Eric Goldman and Anthony Accomazzo. Sync Inc. is a platform which lets users sync their Airtable base to a Postgres database to permit querying data using SQL or SQL. Eric and Anthony walk us through their journey as business partners solving problems, from a waffle shortage at USC to one of Airtable's key limitations, external querying. Born from the challenges brought about during their work founding AllTogetherLA, a nonprofit helping the community of Los Angeles organize resources in response to the 2020 COVID pandemic, Sync Inc. allows data to be accessed programmatically by an even wider range of other services via a real-time synchronization. Eric and Anthony demo the product for us, showing how you can set up your Airtable to Sync Inc. connection in under 2 minutes.
As Anthony just said, Sync Inc. is the easiest way to turn your Airtable base into a Postgres database so that you can query it with SQL. And let me show you how it works. So this is Sync Inc. You're looking at our dashboard, but let's say I wanted to take a really standard Airtable base. This is just the customer success management template from Airtable. It's a fantastic template. And I wanted to turn this base into a Postgres database so my developers could build on it, or I could integrate it with other tools that work with Postgres. Let me show you how you would do that. So I come over to Sync Inc. and I click Add a Base. I'm going to give it a name. I'll just call it Customer Success. And then you're going to need to enter your API key. Everybody on Airtable has an API key. We have a nice little tutorial here that shows you exactly where to get your API key. I already know my API key, so I'm just going to put it in. And we are then going to show you all the bases in your workspace. So you just select the base. I want to do that customer success management one. And then we're going to show you all your tables. So you just select all your tables. And then you just click Create. So what Sync Inc. is doing right now is it's reaching out to Airtable, it's connecting to that Airtable base, and it's going to begin to spin up a database and sync all your data into that database. So almost instantaneously, we actually give you the credentials to a database. So what's on this screen right now is all the information I need to connect to the database that Sync Inc. just created for me. So let me show you first how a developer would connect to this database, and then I'll show you a couple ways that you can use this database for all sorts of tools that you might already use. So for a developer, they'll see this connection URL, which is a really standard way of connecting to a database. They'll also see at the bottom of this connection window the actual core credentials for their database, because we just put all of your Airtable data into an Amazon Web Services database in the cloud. So you need to be able to connect to it. So to connect to it, I'm just going to actually copy this connection URL. And then a Postgres database is a very standard tool for developers. It's one of the most used relational databases in the world. So any standard SQL connector can work with it. One that I really like using is a tool called Table Plus. So I'm going to open up Table Plus, and I'm going to click to add a new connection. It's this little button on the bottom. And I'm going to import my database from a URL. So I'm just going to paste in that URL that I just got from Sync Inc. I'm going to give it a name, Customer Success. Then I'm going to connect. And voila, we've just connected to a database. And when you click into it, you'll actually see that we've actually completed the sync. We've actually taken all the data that's in your Airtable base and put it into this database. And just to show you that it is in real time, let me go back to my database here, or sorry, my Airtable base. And let's say I add a new meeting here. So I'll click in, I'll assign an account here. I'll give it a status, onboarding. That can be none. I'll give it a date. And so that should be enough information to create a new meeting. So I created a new meeting. If I go back to my database, and I just kind of refresh the field, you'll see there's the meeting that I just created. So what's really powerful about Sync Inc. is we not only put all of your data into a database, but we maintain the sync in real time. So it's as you make changes to your Airtable base, your database instantly updates. And the second thing that's really powerful about it is we allow you the best of both worlds. You can keep making all the changes you want to make in Airtable. Any user can go in and add columns, they can change fields, they can add tables, they can delete things. All the flexibility that makes Airtable so powerful for your organization is still completely available to you, and we make it work for developers so they can still access that data without everything breaking because someone deleted a column. So developers can then use a tool like SQL to really quickly play with their data and access it in a completely standard way. They don't need to learn the Airtable API. They can just begin to work with all the data instantly. But if you're not a developer, there's a couple really cool things you can do that are made possible because we give you a Postgres database. So a lot of platforms don't yet support Airtable as a first class connection, because as we mentioned there, the Airtable API is kind of nuanced. It's unique. Airtable is a unique platform. So a lot of those platforms already support Postgres though as a first class connector. So one of those platforms is a tool called Retool. I'm not sure if you've ever used Retool, Camille, but it's a great platform for building on. And they don't support Airtable as a first class connector yet, but you can connect to your Postgres database and really quickly build a nice tool on top of your data. So here, this is the exact same base, but when I go in, I can now kind of search all my accounts here in Retool, and I can select one and I can kind of see all this different information about what's going on in my Airtable base. But I was able to build this tool in a platform that doesn't yet support Airtable natively because I can connect to it just using Postgres. Or another really common thing that our customers are doing right now is they're using it for business intelligence purposes. So Airtable has some amazing tools with the apps, and I still think of them as blocks, but as apps to kind of build different visualizations and graphs and to kind of show off the data of your table. But it's a little bit limited if you want to share that dashboard to a bunch of other people, or if you want to integrate some different data that might not be in Airtable yet. So a lot of our customers are actually using our SyncInc database to connect right to something like Data Studio. So with Data Studio, this can take the exact same data that we just had from our Airtable base. I can connect it and keep it in sync with Google Data Studio in real time with SyncInc. And I can begin to just show a really nice dashboard that has all sorts of nice little nifty things in it because it's a tool completely built for business intelligence. And so that's how SyncInc works. The interface we built in our tools, actually, you're only in here for maybe 60 seconds, as Anthony said, to set it up. And then the rest of your time is spent building on your data. So that's how SyncInc works.
Awesome. Just off the top of my head, one of the things that I see people want the most is the ability to share detailed reports of data that they have stored in Airtable. And Airtable lets you embed blocks into other websites. And of course, you can always print, the current view of a block. But at the moment, when you're sharing a block, you are also sharing the entirety of the base underneath it. And it kind of exposes not just that table, like the entire base's data. And so using the approach that we just saw, taking your Airtable base, moving it to SyncInc, and then having that database that's formed from it imported into Google Data Studio, for instance, you can just share the chart. So very useful. Anything
Exactly.
else? And there's like a billion other tools out there that are specifically designed to make charts. So not only can you share just the chart itself and not all of your data, but you might be able to create a better chart.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I think you're calling out, which is really exciting about this, is SQL and building visualizations on data, querying data. It's been a problem for decades, and it's going to be challenging for decades to come. And the power of making Airtable accessible in a standard common language to query that is it just allows Airtable to work with any tool that uses that standard. So to your point, it doesn't need to be Google Data Studio. It can be Looker, it can be Domo, Sisense, all Looker, yeah, like all of these different BI tools, but it's also any programming language that uses SQL, which is virtually every language under the sun supports SQL. So we think it really just makes Airtable accessible to a lot of developers that have been hungry to build on it and just were waiting for maybe a tool to just make it a bit more accessible. So we're really excited about that.
Well, I'm excited too.
Awesome.
I have heard of Retool. I haven't used it myself, but I do like that people are able to use Airtable data with Retool now using Sync Inc. just because it's, I think, a nice, simple way of creating these drill down dashboards that let you kind of focus on one parent item, if you will, and then see all of the child records associated with it. It's a really nice service, and now it's possible to use it with Airtable, which is why we haven't talked about it on this podcast before.
Yeah, yeah, you couldn't. We realized after we built Sync Inc. that a couple people in the community were talking about wanting to build on Retool, and Retool has perfect support for SQL because one of the things you'll find when you connect your Airtable base with SQL, you can see all of your schema right away. You can see all of the columns. When you're actually creating queries, it does type ahead, so it'll complete the syntax for you so that it's really easy to, you don't have to memorize everything in your base to kind of build what you would like. And the other thing is you can use Sync Inc. to connect Airtable to tools that already support SQL and Airtable. So we've been talking to some people that use Integromat and they use the Airtable Integromat connector. But when you can connect to your Airtable base using SQL, using a Postgres database, which Integromat already supports, you get actually some really nice benefits in terms of how much quicker you can query your entire base. And so there's some really nice benefits to just being able to access the same data through a SQL database because all of your data is immediately available to the application.
Cool. Is it possible to get data by view or by table?
So right now we pull in your entire table.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great question. I think we might be able to see views in the future. I don't know, Anthony, do you know?
Yeah, if right now we just sync all tables, that's a really cool product idea for us, is being able to select views as well and pull those in. So we'll have to call it the Camille feature.
Yay. Just curious, I'm sure it's already just an amazing thing to have in the first place. I was just thinking that sorting records, because Airtable requires at least one grid view. If you only have that grid view, it's kind of easy to think of, oh, that's just the order that my data is, but not always. If you're using API, I think Airtable always puts records in the order in which that they're created, and it's not necessarily affected by that grid view, even if it's the only one. So just throwing it out there that,
I like it.
That's a great suggestion.
I'm sure it was already on the docket. I'm sure you guys had already considered it.
Let's keep building our roadmap right here.
Sure. All right. Well, you brought it up, docket. So is there, this is something that people can go out and sign up for now, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
And we will,
totally
of course,
free to set up and try out.
And I invite everyone to, if you're a developer or you are in need of a developer, and you might be thinking, hey, I know I want to connect Airtable to some other thing. You might be, pushing whichever developer you hire to maybe incorporate Sync Inc. because it might behoove you to. But people can sign up and start using it now. Do you have any kind of down the line, aside from the new and fabulous Camille feature, which I'm sure will be there eventually, any other kind of like goals that you see for syncing?
Yeah, probably the most exciting short-term one for people listening is we want to build a native Airtable application. So right now, to use SyncInc, you come to our website, set up your database, and then you need to have, one of dozens of SQL clients to connect to and query your database in SQL. But with a native Airtable application, you'll actually be able to spin up your SyncInc database and then begin querying it in SQL without leaving Airtable. So that way, you just get SQL power in the same exact view that you're already using Airtable in. So we're very excited about that. And then two others worth mentioning. Right now we sync in real time, and it's very fast for bases that are under a few thousand rows. Once you get up to 10,000 rows plus for some of our bigger customers, it can start to lag about a minute or so behind. So we want to do what we can to make that as fast as possible. And then last is this idea of getting data from a database into Airtable. So right now we're taking data from Airtable and putting it into Postgres. But what if your developers have a database they've been working on, and now you want to throw that data into Airtable so the rest of the team can play with it or work with it? So we love Airtable so much. We'd love to see data also go into Airtable as well as out of Airtable.
Okay, so establishing a two-way sync.
Exactly.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So we have those ideas for the future. Obviously, what we've seen is already, incredible from my opinion. Just being able to, we just saw it. It took, I think, 2.5 minutes total to sync an Airtable base, start the query, and then just start using it somewhere else. So kudos. Is there, no pressure, but this is now the second business venture you guys have gone on amongst yourselves together, any ideas for a third?
Oh no, I'm super worried you'd mention the waffle business. We forever live in its shadow.
You've done waffles and Airtable.
Right. So yeah, we want to make this Airtable sync work really well, and of course we're looking at other platforms possibly next after Airtable. So platforms like Google Sheets come to mind, but we're also thinking about just every API in general for developers getting data out of any service they use, whether it's Zendesk or Twilio or Jira or Stripe. It always requires a lot of legwork, and we think that if we can make it just as simple as we make it for Airtable to get your data into a native database for any API, that would be pretty cool.
It would be cool. And as we saw, I think there might have been 5 button presses.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it could get more simple than that. So I must commend you both. Congratulations.
It's great to hear that from an urban planner. That means a lot.
And
yay.
I think it was really special to be able to, the Airtable community has been so open to trying it out and giving us feedback and asking questions. I think there's something really special about being able to bring this service to Airtable because everyone is so interested in how we can make the tool better and easier for everyone. So it's really fun that we were able to build this product 2 weeks ago, and then we were able to meet with you and tell everyone about it in a community that cares. So it's really, really cool.
It is cool. We have a great community. Airtables has like an army of just the nicest nerds.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We've been blown away. It's such a cool community, and we're just so happy to be a part of it now.
Yeah, it's great. And it gives me the opportunity to talk to interesting people and meet fellow Trojans, and just hear how in a just a terrible year, just an awful year overall, people being able to step up on their own volition and say, we're going to start a nonprofit, and then from that take that into building a tool that's just going to help so many people, so many developers specifically. Just, I know Airtable would be great for my clients to use as an interface to input data. And I know this other tool over here would be great for them to visualize data, or for me to manipulate data if I need to. But I don't know how to connect them together well, and you guys seem to have solved it.
We're excited. It's just the beginning. It's one step, and we're so excited to hear how we can keep building something that solves a problem for people. So we'd love to hear everyone give it a try and tell us what they built and tell us what we can do to help them build something better. So yeah, thank you.
No problem. And to that end, once again, we will have the link in the description of the video and in the text around this video if you're watching it on our website. Thank you both so much for being on. If there's anything else you would like to plug, feel free to do so.
No, that's it. It'll be in the show notes, but our website is syncinc.so, syncinc.so. And as Eric said, reach out if you have any questions or need any support. You'll get the best support possible from Eric and myself as we help you build.
Great. All right, I will let you two go. Thank you so much, audience, for listening.
Thanks, Camille. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to give it a like or hit us up on social at BuiltOnAir. We always love to hear your comments and suggestions. And don't forget to subscribe to catch new episodes when they release. It helps us keep the podcast going.